Hey everybody, it's Christine, up today for Simple Stories, using their new Main Street collection, specifically using a new product for them. It's called Simple Pages, and it allows you to create 2 double spreads, so 4 pages total, within a theme, and it comes with directions and patterned paper and embellishments and everything that you need. Now I am going to put them together exactly as the directions that you see on the right hand side tell you to do. I am, however, going to add white photo mats, so any white that you see me putting on there came from my own stash. On their directions, the white is to symbolize where a picture would go, but I always like to have white mats, so I did add that in. But other than that, I'm putting it together strictly as the directions say. I'm not even putting the pictures on initially so that you can get a feel for what this looks like. Now, what does this come with? Well, it comes with a base page, which has a lot of great detail to it already and really creates the illusion of layers. It also comes with bits and pieces style ephemera. So it's very similar to their bits and pieces. The difference is that those come on a punch out sheet. And so you do have to punch those out, but the same idea, same look, a variety of icons and words and such with, all kinds of coordinating elements, both big and small. It also comes with a chipboard sheet, and that chipboard sheet has a variety of elements as well, and those do not have adhesive on them already, so you will want to have a good strong adhesive for your chipboard. Now, you can see I am already making great progress on this left-hand side page. I can tell you that all in, actually putting together the layout itself without adding the photos or anything extra, it took me about 25 minutes to do the 2 pages. So really pretty quick. I mean, it's not like a 5-minute thing because you have to measure, you have to put things on straight, all those little details, but it definitely takes the work out as far as having to think creatively. So great idea if you're just kind of stuck for ideas, or if you want things to go a little faster. It also does leave room for you to do some extra creativity. So I will talk about that in just a little bit. I do want to talk about adhesives here. So I am using my Easy Runner Grand. Specifically, I am using the Permanent Dots refill in it. And what that is a dotted runner. I'm using that instead of a runner that has strips because it's great for things like script writing or small elements or anything with little details that hang off, because when you run over it, those dots catch on the element, but they don't overhang, so you don't have to tuck any strips back under. A wet adhesive would also work great on this, but that was what I primarily used, is my Easy Runner Grand with the Permanent Dots refill in there. And then I also used some straight up adhesive dots to secure my chipboard, because that gives just a really strong hold when things weigh a little more. Now, the first page you saw had 3 photos on it. Now I'm going to the right-hand side, which is going to have 12 photos on it. And this one I was kind of second-guessing myself as I put these banners on, because I felt like they didn't make sense how I was putting them on spacing-wise. But once I got my photo mats on there and got my grid of 12 on there, it totally all made sense. So if you feel like you're second guessing yourself on some of this, double check your measurements for sure, but then just keep going. Because sometimes layers make more sense as the layers go on than they do initially. Now, probably the longest part of this page was just measuring out how to get those rectangles on there, both straight as a column and straight as a row. That took some time and some patience. But that said, 12 pictures on one layout, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Now, if you don't have pictures that are small like this, what I did is I took my pictures and I imported them into the app called PicStitch, and I created 4x6 grids on Pick Stitch. So I just picked a square grid that allowed for 4 spots. Obviously these are all vertical photos, and so I just printed off 4x6 pictures that actually had 4 pictures on it, so they ended up being 2x3, and then I just really had to trim them down a teeny tiny bit to fit them on there. So that was a great way to size my pictures down but still tell the story and not have to just look at it and say, okay, I can only use pictures with really small elements. Pick Stitch has been great for that. And I use it pretty regularly on my layouts when I want to just size pictures down. Now, both of these pages are just beautifully designed, and they could really honestly stand alone. They also look fabulous together. So I think that's a really cool additional aspect of the whole thing. I also am going to have the second set of pages done for you, and I'll have that up first thing tomorrow so you can see what this entire Simple Pages kit looks like from start to finish. Now, as I mentioned earlier, let's say you get this and you're like, yeah, I want to do this, but I want to be like a little more creative too. I want to work that part of my brain a little bit. Absolutely, 100%, you can totally do that. Today, on this specific layout, I added in some additional bits and pieces. I added in some foam stickers, and I added in some enamel dots. What I would say is if you're looking at it and you're saying, hey, I want to do something, I want to do a little more, pick out a few more products from the collection that jump out at you and get them. And then just work them into your design. Whether it's like I'm doing right here, switching out a banner for words that are more applicable to your actual layout, or it's just playing things up a little bit more. I'm going to add to the magical memories up there. I'm going to add a foam sticker right now onto the big picture that has a little bit of words on there to add to my layout. You can do things like that, and that would be what I would suggest. If you just want to go straight up for exactly the look, that's great too. That's the whole point. But if you think, oh, but I love the design, but I really want to do my own thing, you can do that. Definitely pick out some products and stretch it. So you can see I have added my pictures on here now. I did that off camera because that would have taken another 10 minutes on the video. Couple of little tips for you. Number one, if you put it together without your layouts to start, or without your pictures to start, make sure that any elements that are going to overlap your pictures, so like on that right hand side, that top left hand picture with the flower and banner there, make sure you either put repositionable adhesive on those to start with, or you don't put adhesive where the picture is going to go so that you can tuck the picture in easily. Second tip, when you're doing a 2-page layout, I like to stick within a specific theme, and I even try and keep my lighting as similar as possible. So like this layout is all pictures of my daughter that day, meeting the princesses in her princess dress, all those similar concepts. So I've got very similar colors going throughout my layout. If I were to choose to go a different way, like I was going to do the whole family that day and just do 15 pictures of the family, it's going to be a lot more random. The lighting's going to change up quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of different colors. And so what I would do in that case is I would probably turn my pictures to black and white so it's all coordinated. Now, again, this is all artist choice. You certainly don't have to do anything that way, but I know that a lot of you out there like to get some tips and tricks on how to make your layouts more cohesive and that kind of thing. And so those are just a couple of the things that I look at when I'm doing things like this, is how can I pull the whole thing together. So yes, there's a whole lot more to this story of this day for our family. And honestly, this day was 10 years ago, which seems crazy, but it was 10 years ago. And so I've scrapbooked all these pictures already, but because I had this awesome page kit, I thought, okay, yeah, I've scrapbooked it for the family, but I haven't done just a page for my daughter's album. So it was an easy shift to focus and do a page just for her, a set of pages just for her. And so that worked out really well for me to be able to put that into hers. Now, you can see as I'm working right now, I am adding in my own touches here. Like the magical memories, you can see I built onto the title that they originally had. And I'll add in my journaling on those journaling strips. There are lots of ways to add your own little details. I do love that both page sets have spaces for your journaling built in, so you don't even have to think about that. I often think of that last, like, oh, where am I going to put my journaling? So this is already taken care of for you. You don't have to think too hard on that. I also like that there's dimension already built in. So between the chipboard and the cardstock pieces, you've got flat and dimension. And really, even the cardstock embellishments, you could pop those up with 3D adhesive easily if you wanted even more dimension. So it's really nice that those elements are already built in and don't require you to have to do some extra considerations as you go. Now, the final thing that I'm going to do to personalize this a little bit more for myself is to add some hand stitching. Now, typically, if I hand stitch on a layout, you're talking about probably a 4 to 5 hour project once you add in all the stitching. And the design time, the putting the whole thing together, etc., etc. It's a long process. So I don't hand stitch a lot, but I do love to add hand stitching when I can. One of the cool things about doing a page like this, where I didn't have to design it, was my time was cut way, way down. So I had time to add in stitching, and you'll see on tomorrow's layout, I was super inspired to stitch on that one. This one I had to kind of figure out, okay, do I want to add stitching? And what I did decide to do was to do it along the border. So I'm going to just do some white back stitch between the red and black to separate those two colors, to make it look even more like there's a layer there, even though it's actually all one base. And so I am just going around with my poker, and I've got just a foam piece underneath and just stabbing holes all the way along. Since I've got a straight line to work with, it's easy to stay in a straight line. I'm not worried about perfect spacing, just trying to eyeball it. And then I'm going to just grab it. I will show you the beginning of my stitching, and then honestly, I'll go sit and I'll watch Netflix, and I'll stitch the rest of it and catch up on my favorite show for a little while. So there you have it. This is, again, the Simple Pages from Simple Stories, the Main Street collection. Brand new idea from Simple Stories. I think you'll really like it. And tomorrow, first thing, I will have another layout for you from this same page kit to check out. Be sure to head over to Simple Stories and check out your options with these simple pages. And thanks for stopping by today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we will see you again tomorrow.